This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very good morning to you all from South Africa in the Kruger Park. We are sitting with our favourite leopard here, the little chief, Mr. Hosanna. My name is Lauren and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. The sun is already rising and the temperature today is about 21 degrees Celsius, which is around 73 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. So please interact with us today. Send in all your questions and comments using that hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat stream. So Mr. Hosanna over here was here last night as well. He seems to have taken a bit of a shining to this water hole, and it appears he haven't moved very much since last night. I can assure you he will have moved, but he's obviously came back to his favourite snoozing position after what I can only imagine being a very active night. So just about 200 metres, around 600 feet away from us, he does have some kills stashed up in a jackalberry tree. So we're not sure if it's all completely there, but we will check later on. So he just keeps hanging around this water hole and keeping an eye on his prey. So before I forget, let me tell you, we do have Mr. James Henry on camera today for his excellent camera skills. Mustn't forget that important part. So yes, we will check whether his kill is still up the tree. There were a few hyenas around last night, but it does all seem quiet on this front this morning. And the boy is very relaxed. Look at that sleepy cat. Yes, very sleepy. So he hopefully will get up. It's quite a cool morning. It's not too hot yet. So there is a chance he might get up and be active for us in a bit. He's probably enjoying the cooler temperatures. So while we stay with our sleepy cat, let's send you over to Sydney, who is on bushwalk.
A very, very good morning and welcome to the beginning of our guided walk. My name is Sydney Niconico, and I'm traveling with Senzo, who is my camera operator this morning. We are going to try by all means to get you a lot of interesting animals this morning. And in case if you need our attention, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. My plan this morning is to look for the tiny little stuff, and big animals will serve as a bonus. We will be looking at the area where Hukumuri is responsible of the territory, which is much more towards the southern side of the game reserve. Hopefully, we might see Hukumuri or any other interesting animal. I was just trying to listen. I thought it was an alarm call, but it's just a bird calling somewhere this side. So I'm just going to come and check by the road here just to see who crossed here, because sometimes we do pass this. What a lovely morning sunrise. Look at that. So you can hear there's some hyenas calling this direction where we're going, and I can see there's some drag marks here. No, not drag marks. Something has been chased here. And now let's cross over to the Masai Mara, where David is waiting to start as well.
A very good morning from the Mara Triangle in Kenya, and our sunrise has a new addition to it, and we got secretary birds on top of that torch tree, and what a start for the morning. Those are two eagles that I call ground eagles because more often than not, they're always on the ground. But I think they're just preening themselves and just making themselves ready for the day. And doing the final control says it could not be better than as it is now. Look at that sky and those two birds perched right on top of that tree. And very good camera work there. Well, my name is David. That has not changed. And on camera with me this morning is Manu. A very good morning, Manu. Very excited to have all of you on board. As you see, I still have my shuka. It's a bit chilly. We're talking of 17 degrees Celsius, 63 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a bit cold for me, and for Manu, I have 4 layers. Manu has 3. But I can tell you, it will warm up from what I've seen on that eastern horizon. Very unusual to see these birds on top of trees because they spend most of their hunting on the ground. That's where they spend the better part of the day. But what they need to do now is to just warm up. Look at that. Align their feathers, their wings, their legs. And once they come down, they'll be ready to start eating for the better part of the day. Remember, what we do is very interactive drive. Kalina, I agree with you. This is a postcard picture. Kalina, I hope you're taking as many screenshots as you can. Possibly, if you can also, send me a few because it could not be better than this. I mean, we get so many sightings in Africa, but some of them, I would say they are epic, super special. Manu, do you agree? And keep talking to us. Should you have any questions or should you have any comments, please send them through using hashtag SafariLive. That's definitely our eastern horizon, and the sun is pushing up. Paula, a very good morning. And Paula, please, before I answer your question, don't forget I have my favorite or your favorite shuka on. And these birds in general will nest on very high trees, and that is a classical example of a tree that they will nest on. They normally nest on trees and birds of this size because apparently the secretary birds are very closely related to the eagles, and most eagles will always nest on top of trees. And one reason to do that is, of course, to protect their eggs and chicks from predation. These birds, as big as they are, they have no major concern in terms of predation, but their young ones have been known to be predated on by other eagles, hawks, kites, and called the secretary bird from the French corruption of the Arabic word secrétaire, which means a hunter bird. A hunter bird because, in general, they keep hunting, and they keep hunting on the ground. Not many eagles will hunt on the ground. Many of them will hunt on top of trees or will just catch other birds, while in flight. Or if they hunt them on the ground, they'll take them up the tree and feed on them. But these ones will hunt on the ground and also have their meals on the ground. I'm trying to remember the other bird that would do this. I think there's another one called caracara. The only 2 birds that I will know will hunt on the ground. Look at that long tail feather. Many birds we are always able to tell their sexual dimorphism, males from females, but these ones give us quite a challenge. All right, you just go down there. Hopefully, maybe they have a nest there. Who knows, Paula? Look at those feathers or quills sticking out of the head. Very majestic bird. Of all the birds in Africa, when it comes to this size, these ones happen to be my very favorite because of their morphology. And I'm sure as it warms up, they'll be coming down to the ground. Could be a bit tricky for them to see very well. The lighting is not good as yet, so they might want to spend a couple of minutes up there before coming down. Child of the universe, good to hear your name and a very good morning or jumbo to you. Giraffes have been known to reach such trees. And if the tree is quite low and they get, to pull, because you've seen them using their tongues, pulling some twigs down, if the nest is not very solid, child of the universe, there's a possibility the nest might collapse. And if the eggs on it, they might also come down, or the chicks might come down. But that happens rarely. It's seldom that to happen, because these birds, like the secretary birds we're watching here, Child of the Universe, tend to choose very solid trees and trees that are quite high. Beautiful colors there. I'm sure you're all enjoying the sunrise from the Mara Triangle. All the beautiful colors you'd think of in life. Peaches, yellow, orange, some black there, some pink, I guess. And we all know that tree is green, as much as the green is not showing as yet. And it's just so quiet where we are. And Manu is telling me to keep quiet for 10 seconds, and I will. Tracy, thank you very much, and I'm letting Manu know that he is doing a wonderful job. Did you get that, Manu? Oh, yeah. That was Tracy, and Manu says thank you and says, oh yeah, and I have to follow what Manu tells me. He had told me earlier to keep quiet for 10 seconds, and I want to count to 10 seconds, keeping my mouth shut. I could be more than happy if the tent I leave in the camp, I could move it here this morning, and I wake up to this every day. My plans today are to look for some lions at one point, and possibly if I could see some hyenas, any predators. Yesterday we had some interesting nights with lions. Steve had lions, I had lions. So we'll be seeing where to go and get these predators of the Mara. But of course, as we look for them, chances are we also see other game on the way. Now, very difficult to know who is still standing up there. Is it the he or the she? Hello there. And hopefully I'll keep researching and reading and know how to tell a male from a female of these two birds. Well, we'll go back to South Africa and find out the gentleman doing tracking, how well he's doing.
I am still looking here at some tracks, and then I found something interesting. I think it's something that we have discussed before, but today this is going to serve as a very good example. So if you look at this tree, you can see that this tree has been pushed down by the elephant. It's like this. And now, because of the root support, the tree is still alive and still getting nutrients from the ground. So, but if you can check, this tree, when it starts, this is a leadwood. A leadwood is one of the strong stem and heavy stemmed tree. So this tree, when it is down like this, the tree felt that I'm not growing straight, because it was growing straight. Now it has been pushed. And after it has been pushed, the tree realized that I cannot be able to get the sun because my branches, the canopy, remember the trees has got a canopy. The canopy is facing that side. I'm only getting a little bit of sun during the day and before the sunset. Then the tree decided to do the following. Look now, the tree is growing the branches, and these branches are coming from the main stem. The main trunk is lying down like this, and then the branches are coming from here going up. This is amazing. You can see that these trees, when they're growing up, they can feel the environmental changes. So what is happening by the surrounding, they can feel it. When they push down, they can feel that I've got to do something and develop the nodes and grow the branches, which will help in order to the absorption, in order to facilitate the absorption of the sun. Look now, the tree is standing as normal. So what is happening now is just about the manufacturing of nutrients. This is amazing. And something interesting is, if you come this side here, Senzo, nice and close, you will see that it's very, very rare for a tree to grow a branch here at the beginning of the stem. If you look here, these trees, all the leadwood trees, you won't find the branch growing close to the root like this. We've got the roots right here. And then, let me just go in here a little bit. Here, we've got the roots here. and the branches are growing right next to the roots. This is very rare. Normally the lead wood, they will grow and they will grow high. Reason for them to start growing high is to avoid browsing activities. When they are growing high, they are avoiding the browsing activities. But now, because of the situation, the tree is compromised because it's fallen and it's trying to grow branches from everywhere. But it's very rare. Normally you get the branches coming high up, not close to the ground. So now let's quickly go to Lauren, who is now having the hippopotamus.
Yes, we have just came across a hippopotamus. We are at Buffalo's Hook Dam, and it must have been in the mud, and we just caught it coming out of the water there. It is going away from us, so we are just going to go forward a little bit to get a better view. Now, this happens to be one of my favourite animals I've seen out here. Not sure why. I've always wanted to see a hippopotamus. They're just so graceful on land with their skippy toes. So it's quite uncommon to find a hippopotamus around here when the dam is as dry as it is right now. Oh, it's heading off. Let's see if James can get us a much better view of this. Yes, we can just see it moving away there. So it's very, very common to always find hippos around a water source. They're heavily dependent on water, and they will normally spend around 5 to 6 hours, if not more, in the water per day. They use the water to cool down, and also it's a really efficient way to just be lazy and not expend much energy. They are not swimmers. Yes, it's moving quite far away now. They're not swimmers, so they're not in the water swimming. They're just sort of standing and floating and being very, very lazy. I think it's walking off now. But just before we came live to you, we did hear some lions. Yes, James, there are some animals I haven't seen yet, and that is the cheetah. So I was around when the cheetahs did come in, but I wasn't on the drive. So I haven't actually seen any yet. So that's one thing on my list. Good morning. We have another vehicle there. I'm just saying good morning too. But other than that, I think I've been incredibly lucky with the sightings here. I've seen a lot of animals I really didn't expect to see. So next on the list is cheetahs. So we did hear some lions roaring. Not entirely sure where they were coming from, but we are going to make our way and try and locate the lions for you all. The hippopotamus decided to move away, unfortunately. I used to play the game Hungry Hippo a lot as a child. I'm not sure if you've heard of that game, but maybe that's why I like the hippos so much. So hopefully we can locate these lions for you. We can just hear them roaring, that's all. So not entirely sure where they're coming from. So while we are searching for these lions, I'm lucky I have a team of support in the back with me. We'll go over to David, who is in the Mara.
Well, I think the rains could have been a bit delayed in South Africa, seeing the Buffalo's Hook Dam being dry. But the short rains in East Africa have started, and we are enjoying them now. But the good thing about the Mara, we have started marshes and springs and wells that never dry all around the year. It's one big difference I have noticed in terms of the habitat and the weather pattern if I compare the Mara Triangle and Juma in South Africa. As I said earlier, my plans today are to look for some predators, and today I want to concentrate either on lions or hyenas this morning. And Manu is up to it. We have started with some nice predators, the secretary birds, and we might be seeing another small little bird here. I'm not sure who this is. Not sure it's my favorite bird or is a different big bird. You see that bird, big bird there, Manu? Stop there. Okay, Manu tell me to stop there. There's a bird that I love that he called a roller. Maybe it is, maybe it is not. But I think it is. I might call it another carnivore or another hunter because they'll be going for beetles and insects like that. And this is the lilac-breasted roller. And because of the lighting, you might see just the silhouette, unlike the normal colors. Very good, Manu. At least we have the normal standard colors of a roller. The lilacs, the blues, pinkish, the greens, the white. And I'm guessing in the whole of Africa, this bird has been photographed more than any other bird. I could be wrong, but it's a bird that is very popular with guests, very popular with guides. And I would say for me also it's my favorite bird for the birds of that size. And it happens to be the national bird of Kenya. Not showing us a very good sunrise like the secretary birds we had before. Quite rollers because when they're up there in the air mating, you'll see them rolling. But also even when not mating, they'll be known sometimes to roll before they come down like a stone. And then before just they hit the ground, they flop their wings and take off again. Okay, Rolla, we want to leave you there and hopefully you'll get to better light. Age worker, very good. You just got those words out of my mouth. When you see these birds mating age worker, they tend to mate while in the air rolling. You imagine mating the air rolling, eh? And that's one of the reasons they are called rollers. But also even on their own, you could see them rolling up in the air, then just, folding the wings, and then just coming down with the force of the gravity like a stone. And before they hit the ground, they flap their wings up and they pick up the momentum, and up again they go in the air. Basically, they tend to roll in the air, and that's how they ended up getting the name rollers. And we've got a number of rollers. Hopefully, you might see a different one. But this is the most common one here in East Africa. Very celebrated bird. And I also guess could be the national bird of another country called Botswana. See the hooked beak there, which they would use to pick, or first maybe to kill. They would be prey, be it a kind of an insect. If it's a beetle, they'll crush it with the beaks before they swallow it. And our roller has gone, and will also be gone now to work hard and look for more animals. Manu, shall we? Alrighty. Cool morning with nice temperatures now for lions to be out and about. We'll just stop here for a couple of seconds and just pan and see whether we could see anything from a distance or any big game. Puma, you're asking whether I've ever seen a bunting like what you get in the US. I don't think we have them in anywhere in Africa, and more so in Kenya. I am not very sure, but I have never seen one. And if you can, I'd be happy if you could send me a picture, Puma, and I see how it looks like. We don't have them anywhere in East Africa. I could be wrong, but I highly doubt we have them. The area man is putting the camera has been one area we like seeing elephants. Not sure that's a balloon in the background there. Hot air balloons will take off early in the morning, and the ballooners enjoy the sunrise. I'm sure they're enjoying that. Sun pushing up on the eastern horizon as they're just gliding in the air, So Puma, if you'd be happy and do a screenshot or send me a picture of a bunting, I'd be more than happy and see how it looks like. The only birds now we can hear making noise are sticulus, and that's very good framing there, Manu. I wish you could have a leopard on that fork of that tree, and I would truly call that natural framing, or a genet cat maybe. Manu, what would you like on that fork of that tree? A snake? An eagle? A hyrax. Manu talks about hyrax. And lo, in the final control says whether they can create one leopard there or a genet cat, and that would be truly be a natural framing. How cool is that? Sun pushing up there, slowly and surely, preparing to go to the western horizon. Turns you are asking whether we ever see dik-diks. Yes, we got dik-diks in the Mara, a bit shy animals, which will tend to come out, at night, the Gwinthas dik-diks. But yes, we got dik-diks in the Mara, and it depends on the timing of where you are, and they tend to remain in the bushes. Very unusual to see them coming out in the open, like the other antelopes. They tend to stay in the thickets. But yes, we got dik-diks here in East Africa.
Look at that. I have got the Ziziphus macronata now. This Ziziphus macronata is still very, very, very clean. You can see the leaves are not yet back. Now I want us to just see how this buffalo thorn, the thorns looks like when it's dry. Look at that. Without any leaves. You can see these are very dangerous thorns. Look at that. So this is the one that normally hooks people. And this is the one that pins you. So when this plant has got the leaves, you will see it very green. And apologies for the inconveniences as we were in the Masai Mara, and quickly we got back to meet due to some network challenges. So this plant is going to have the green leaves anytime soon. And those green leaves are medicinally used. You can come here every morning to this tree and eat the green leaves in order to relieve the blood pressure. When the blood pressure is too high, in order to lower it, you can come here and just eat those green leaves, and they help a lot. Yes, it is quite very much strong. It doesn't taste nicely, but you can have it. I mean, medicine is medicine. So not all the medicines taste nicely. Oh, this one is having some flowers coming back. I cannot smell anything at the moment here. Yeah, this one has got a scent. You can see because the flowers are starting to open there. So when the scent is like this, most of the scents are there to attract insects. And most of the scents are there in order to avoid browsing. Because these plants, when the flowers are much sweet, the chances of the tree to get quite a lot of browsing is very high. Some of the animals don't only eat the leaves, they eat the leaves and the flowers. Giraffes, for example, I've seen that when these trees are starting to bring back the leaves, the leaves and the flowers, they also eat the flowers. So the trees must have to have a kind of a strong smell in order to avoid those animals from coming to eat the leaves all the time. So only the small insects, because the small insects, So now let's quickly go to Lauren, who's got an impala.
So we did try to locate the lions for you, however they were far too north of our boundary, I'm afraid. So we have to turn back around, and we did stumble across this little herd of impalas. Now, it appears to be a bachelor herd of all males. And of course, you know that they're all males just from looking at the horns that are placed on their head. So it's a group of males that are all travelling together. There isn't any females around. And impalas, I have to say, they are the most common animal that you do stumble across here. But aren't they just beautiful? They are so elegant. Look at those long legs and those beautiful almond eyes that they have. They are just so beautiful. And it is, of course, the lambing season. So the lambs are starting to appear everywhere. And this will create quite an interesting situation all round. Once the females do start to give birth, the males do start to pick up scents of the birth, and they will start to go a little bit crazy because they will assume that the females are going into estrus. Now, of course, the females are not, but the males will pick up the hormonal scents of the birth. So it's an interesting dynamics in the impala populations at the minute. But I don't see any females around, but we have spotted many, many lambs. So impalas do synchronize their breeding. So the lambs are generally all born within a specific time period, around about 2 weeks. And there was a sort of myth that impalas were able to delay birth. They were able to hold the fetus inside and delay the birth until conditions were adequate for them. But this, of course, is not correct. A mammal is not able to delay birth. It's not possible to arrest a fetus that is growing inside you at full term. But late births would obviously just be due to late matings. So we might find that around January time there is another spell of impala lambs around. So the males do get on. They're all together in the bachelor herd at the minute. But when it comes to females in estrus, they will become a lot more territorial and slightly aggressive with one another. But at the moment that is not the case, and they are obviously travelling together in this bachelor herd. You can see this one here, always alert, always looking. Hi, love dogs. It's really nice to hear from you again. Can you just repeat the question, Lou? Oh, what is my favourite animal? I see. Oh, that is a tough question. I've been blown away by every single animal that I have encountered. I have to say I didn't think I would have such a soft spot for leopards that I do. But ultimately my favourite animal is surprisingly the hyena. I really did not think I would develop such a soft spot for the hyenas. I really didn't realise they were so complex, so intelligent, so strong. I really didn't know much about hyenas before coming here, so Mummy Jamie has obviously passed on her hyena love to me, so ultimately if I had to choose, it's the hyena. I didn't think animals could get so bizarre on land. Obviously underwater there's a whole range of the weird and wonderful. But on land I think the hyenas and their behaviour is probably the weirdest I have come across so far. And I've not seen the hyenas in a while actually. One stopped by last night, but I'll need to go and check on the Juma clan and see how they're doing. So you can see these impalas are just feeding. They have mixed feeding habits. They will browse and graze. But there will always be one within the herd that is completely alert and looking and listening. They have very large eyes, which give them that gorgeous almond eye look. And they have really large ears. So you can tell straight away that they rely on their hearing and their eyes quite significantly. Now, it benefits an animal the size of an impala to actually be in a herd because they're not small enough like a steenbok to go unnoticed. They can't really sort of blend in as well as a steenbok or a duiker could. So when they get to this size, it is more beneficial to be within a group. Safety in numbers, as they say. And so we're going to continue our journey and see what else we can find. But for now, let's head over to Sydney on the bushwalk.
So if you look here where I am, you will see that the height of this grass is not the same. Look here, the height is much lower. And here, the height of these grasses is much higher. So this is telling you that animals who are feeding here, they are being very much selective. They are not feeding on everything. Let me just show you something here. By this side of the road, you can see that the grasses are still way much higher. So these grasses, they are not happy when they're like this. Grasses are not happy when they're like this. The grasses are expecting the animals to come and damage them. And if the animals are not damaging them, they get worried because now for them to prepare for the new growth, they still have got this what is called a moribund. A moribund is an old dead material. So the grasses like this, they are having a very high, they are putting this kind of vegetation in the area, including trees, on high risk because these act as a fuel load. When the fire comes, these are the grasses who are going to increase the these are the grasses that are going to increase the speed of fires. We have got different types of fires. We have got the ground fires, fires that burns here under the ground, and they also burn the roots of some of the trees. And then we have got surface fires, which is the one responsible to burn these kind of grasses. And we have got the crown fires, those that will burn very high and also affect the canopy of trees. So the grasses like this, they need some fires to come in order to stimulate new growth. Or animals must come and trim them so that the new growth can come. So at the moment, the insects are not even flying from these grasses here where I'm walking. You can see that we still need some rain to come so that the insects can be active. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara where David is having some elephants.
Aneli is just very close to the road for us, and I'm thinking it could be a youngster here, a young boy, and definitely not very far from another big herd that we're seeing in the distance. And mornings like this, the grass might be a little softer with lots of dew from last night, which would make it very palatable for the elephants. And you see how he just picks grass, and not bad grass. As he's picking it up, he's not shaking it a lot to remove the soil, which has been known elephants do. If they uproot the grass and it comes out carrying a lot of soil, they'll always shake it fast and not eat the soil. Very good camera work there, Manu. See all the wrinkled skin. And there have always been a few theories of why elephants have such wrinkled skins. Tanya, I think, well, I guess your question was what was my favorite animal. Should that be correct, Lou? Tanya, sorry, I think you asked what is my favorite smell. And Tanya would say my favorite smell. My favorite smell in the Mara, Tanya, is for the elephants, Tanya, because any place elephants will always pass, they leave some nice, I would not say, how do I describe, maybe some nice pungent smell, and you can always pick it up, like where the villager came from, or, you know, I still go to once in a while. If you'd walk through the bushes and elephants might have passed through that area and they brush themselves through the bushes, you could easily pick the smell of the elephants, and would agree as young boys, you're not going to take this road because elephants could be ahead. So Tanya, my favorite smell out here, even today in the bush, is the smell of the elephants. Especially when they wee and poo. I mean, you just enjoy that smell, unlike other animals like cats. And more so the lions. If the lions poo and you're so close to them, it's always a very strong smell that you do not like. But elephants, be it a wee or a poo, Tanya, you still enjoy it. And long time ago, when elephants would poo, would pick up the poo of the elephant to make fire for the village. And one person would make the fire, of course using 2 sticks like this, and have some elephant dung, huge, and put some small amber in it, and then we would blow it, and it would get the flame and make the fire, and we would spread it all along to the other homes in the village. All right, it's good welcome by that young bull of the elephant. And elephants will not be alone, they'll always go in small herds of 2s, 3s, 4s, or 10s. Ages, that's a good question for your age. Once in a while you'll get elephants going away from the main herd, but not staying for long before they rejoin the herd. And that happens more so for the youngsters. You know, there's that teenage age for the young ones. So they'll tend to be on their own, you know, doing teenage stuff or behavior. Then shortly after they rejoin the others. But they don't stay very far from the others because it's dangerous for them. But always the mothers will be keeping an eye on them to make sure they're not very far from them. Sun has pushed through up and beautiful sunlight. And that makes my life a lot easier to see a long way from here. Not sure who we have to the right there, Manu. You think it's quite far? All right, how's that, Manu? Sonny, your question is, do I enjoy the sunset or the sunrises more? And I'll be very honest. My days are sunrises. My safaris are morning. Anything I do in the morning is always very fulfilling. So sunrises to me happen to be better than sunset. And nothing wrong with the sunset, but it's like in the morning, I'm always very alive and very alert. So I'm going to give you a homework today on finding out which raptor that is. It's not facing us, but think looks like an eagle to me. I'm just getting my file because I just put them back of the dust we have around here. I'll also have a quick look at it, and please send me your tweets on who you think that is, #SafariLive, and you're going to identify this big bird of prey here. Let me just give him a few seconds. It's definitely an eagle. I'm going to give you a clue. And I'll be asking you to help me identify which eagle is that that's just giving us a back shot, but facing on the side. So the only one clue I give you, she is an eagle. Sorry about that, Manu. But they're either looking, see the hooked beak there. And as soon as the answers come through, I'm sure Lou will help me. And we're going to identify that eagle. All right, we'll move on as I wait for your answers of that eagle. But the first clue, or the only clue I gave you, is just to let you know it's an eagle. Okay. So the one young elephant I told you we saw back there, I said he was not alone, but again go back to South Africa to a feathered friend.
We have spotted a bird. Now, it's a very small bird, but we just noticed it hanging upside down on the branches here, and this is a cardinal woodpecker. So you can see, look at the way it just hangs upside down there on the branch. If James is managing to keep up with it, good job. Now, woodpeckers are obviously incredible. They do have really sharp beaks, of course, to drill into the wood, which you can hear from quite some distance. And their beak actually grows continuously because obviously there's a lot of damage sometimes when it's drilling holes in the wood. And their tongue is the one thing that surprised me about these animals. I did not realise that their tongue was really, really long, and it actually goes all the way back in their head across their skull. It's so long, and it's obviously used, it's very sharp and pointy, and it's obviously used to reach in and get insects also. You hear all those bird calls around us? We're surrounded by a huge array of birds right now. We're still all learning our bird species. Yes, lots of ambience around. I'm still learning lots of bird species, but the woodpeckers are definitely one of the more incredible species to learn about. It's literally upside down right now. Many of the woodpecker species look very similar here. They're not so easy to identify between them. But this is definitely the cardinal one. Did you see there? It just ate something. It's obviously just putting its nose around and maybe picking up insects. So not only do they have a really sharp beak and a really long tongue, they've actually got pads of cartilage that act as shock absorbers in their head, in their skull. Because of course, banging your head against a piece of wood for a long period of time could get a little bit painful after a while. So they've got those shock absorbers built in, which makes it a little bit easier to be a woodpecker. Now, there's just interesting birds all around us. It's incredible. We're surrounded by these bird calls, right, left and centre. And we're lucky to have James on the back here who can actually help us identify all these different calls. Oh, what do we have here? It looks like oh, we have a green pigeon. You can see just on the wing there, it's very, very green. Oh, look at that. Oh, and off we go. Now, pigeons tend to be up in the trees more, and the doves tend to be a lot more on the ground, but they do look very, very similar to one another. Have we spotted another one? So yesterday was obviously Big Birding Day, but I think we're still on the bird roll here. I'm actually surprised at how many birds there are here. I think Pat mentioned it yesterday, but it's actually more birds than there are fish species in the Cayman. We have another one Mr. Henry has spotted. And it looks like a black-collared barbet. There we go, I'm not going to forget that one in a hurry. So there, we had 3 different species for you. That's not a bad start. So while we're on our bird lookout, we are going to link you over to David in the Mara.
Well, many people always think lions don't climb trees, but lions comfortably do climb trees. And we've got about how many? 3, 4, 5, which I think are just sharpening their claws, strengthening their muscles. And this is the Mara River Pride in the Mara Triangle. We've got so many prides in the Mara. This particular pride is called the Mara River Pride. You remember earlier I said my plan today was to look for any lions, any predators, and more so lions or hyenas. And I think I'm feeling pretty happy now, having spotted these lions. And this is the Mara River Pride in the Mara Triangle. And the whole idea is to sharpen their nails, strengthen their muscles as maybe they prepare to go for a hunt. Look at how comfortable they have gone, pretty high. I'm talking about what, 3 meters now, 4 meters high? Well, not as comfortable as leopards, but most cats, including cheetahs, can climb trees. The only difference is the skills to do that, and maybe unlike leopards, which will always hoist their prey up or kills on tree to eat them, lions will not do that. They'll always eat their prey on the ground. So 2 have come down, 1 more left up there, jumped down, and you can see the way they climb down and climb up is very different. Wow, that's a very good play. Most of the social cats that we got in Africa, and that's their strength, being in numbers, and especially while hunting. Remember, this is a very interactive safari that we do. Keep talking to us. Questions, comments, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Now I'm just trying to think what they're doing. They're scanning on the savannah for some prey. That's only the body language I can read from them. Chris, coming to my quiz on the eagle, you say crested eagle. Not quite, but that's not bad guess. You're saying crested, long crested eagle, not quite, but it was an eagle. That's very well done. Keep trying, but thank you for that effort, Chris. Thank you very much. Trish, you think, was it a snake eagle? Not really, but thinking as an eagle, good idea. But most snake eagles have rounded heads and very yellow eyes. But keep trying. That was a good trial. It was not a snake eagle, but a good trial. Now, I'm looking at these lions, and they have an interesting body language. Kathy, I think you're right. That was a steppe eagle. Very well done, Kathy. It was a steppe eagle. Thank you very much. And Kathy, you got it right. It was a steppe eagle, and sometimes from a distance, you might confuse it to a tawny eagle. Thank you very much, Kathy. You have made my day. Now, I do not know what these lions are spotting from a distance, but they're arranging themselves in a typical style of a lion hunt. And sometimes the oldest lion in the group will always be the pathfinder and giving instructions to the rest of the pride. And many times they make such plans and then they fail on the hunt, but the times they're always lucky. You can see the body language, the movement, there's some intent from their mobility. One of the strongest prides around the Mara, while that's play now, it's not a hunting mode anymore. And they're all ending up with that lagger down there. And we're going to be following them and find out where they would be ending up. But they don't look very full to me, and I'll not be surprised if they do hunt this morning. So we're going to take a loop and go around on the other side. We are in an area that is not allowed to off-road, so we'll... Mike, your question is, what is my favorite pride in the Mara? And as I said before, Mike, we've got lots of prides here in the Mara, but my favorite one is called the Sausage Tree Pride. Sausage Tree Pride is quite a distance from the camp, could be about 15 miles away from where we stay, but almost every day I'll make a date with them, and I would say 9 out of 10 times that I go to that territory of the Sausage Tree Pride, I always see them. Why is this my favorite pride? because the females in that pride, when they don't have the possibility or availability of wildebeest or zebras for a hunt, the females in that pride have on their own been able to bring down buffaloes, which is quite a toughie to bring down a fully grown buffalo for females. But in that particular pride, those females comfortably do that. There are 5 of them, and they make it very easy like that. For other prides, they will need males in them to be able to hunt a buffalo or a big prey like a giraffe or an eland. Now our lions have entered in a particular lager here. I can't see them. They must have gone in and gone out. So I want to make a huge loop and see whether, if we go this way, Manu, do you think we're going to catch up with them? Yeah, Manu thinks so. And they all look hungry to me. They all look hungry to me, and they might give us some nice entertainment of going for a hunt. And as we do that, let's go back to Sydney, who is still trucking.
I have just came across one of the lovely droppings here, and I was just trying to check if maybe I'm going to find the dung beetles, because the dung beetles, they are starting to come back. And here I can see that these droppings, they've got quite a lot of moisture on them. Maybe the dung beetles has been here, or they are not there. Yo, these droppings are very heavy. This is heavy compared to the elephant droppings when they are dried. The rhino droppings, they are very much heavy. So this is because of water in there. But you can see that it's not open, not much insects has been here. So the dung beetles will come back and do what they normally do best in order to save the environment. So these droppings here I have got, I don't have a problem to touch them because I know this animal is a herbivore. And I don't want to destroy these ones here because maybe there are some other insects who are feeding and some hiding while using these droppings as a shelter at the moment. So if you look here, what are we seeing? What evidence are we seeing? You will see that we have got the grasses. These are all grasses, and I can't see any twig or any leaf. Why am I saying these are the grasses? If you look at these, you will see that here it has got a ring. This ring is showing you that this is a node or an internode of the grass. So this is one of the difference between the trees and grasses. The trees don't have internode. They only got the nodes. Grasses, they have got the internode. And now, this animal, was it a black or white rhino? This is how I must see it. I must open and check inside. When checking inside here, all I'm seeing is grass. The black and white rhinos don't have the same diet. Black rhinos, their diet is consisted of leaves and twigs. You will see the leaves and twigs which are cutted into small pieces. Some are saying those twigs, they are cut into 45 degrees. No, I'm not too sure if that is scientifically proven, but I saw that they are very small pieces which are more or less the equal size. So here I've got the white rhino's droppings. So the black rhino droppings, you will see the color outside is not black. Now if you look at this one, the color here is black. Look. Why are these droppings black? Because the level of tannin by these droppings, they are much less. If you look at the elephant droppings and the black rhino's droppings, because they eat quite a lot of leaves and twigs, the droppings changes color to brown. So now, we must have to check the following. Was it a male or female white rhino who defecated here? Normally, the female white rhinos defecate and leave their droppings like this. They don't disturb them. And the male white rhinos, they defecate. Those who are territorial holders, they defecate and kick their droppings in order to disperse the scent. So in other words, on the ground, sometimes you can be able to distinguish between the male and the female droppings. So if you see that here, it's just the droppings and no disturbance. normally it's a female. And if you see the droppings with the drag marks, then it's a male. So I can see there's quite a lot of holes here, which has been dug by, maybe these are the rats, but this is not an active one. So when it comes to these areas where the rats are staying, I've got to be very careful, because rats, they also spread quite a lot of detrimental diseases. And sometimes if I inhale the dust, I can pick up some of these problems. So by looking at this, I can see that this was a rat. So you can see this hole is old now, it's not used anymore. But when it's like this, it's still going to serve purpose. It's going to serve purpose in the following manner. When it's raining, water is going to go down here. And when water is going down here, it helps the soil to absorb quite a lot of water. So even if the animal is not there, the fact that this animal dug a hole is going to help when it's raining. So for the infiltration of water, the rats are playing a very important ecological role. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara, where Steve is having something at the moment.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome once again to the Mara. Terribly sorry for our lateness. We've been sorting out some administrative issues, but it is myself out with Big James this morning in the Mara. What a beautiful day it is. It is a little bit chilly than normal, but quite nice nonetheless. Nice to be out on a nice cool day. And we've spotted in the distance over there, well, we can actually see David's car moving, and we're trying to spot his lions, because in fact he's on the other side of the marsh. We're just on an elevated point, and there's an enormous herd of buffalo in the distance. I wonder if that's what those lions are looking for. Judging by where he is, I'm saying it's the River Pride. We were with the River Pride last night, and while we left them a little bit further north from where he's parked right now, I can't quite make them out. They're probably hidden somewhere in the thickets there. But it's possible that they started moving and he had to go around on a different road. But to the right, there's a small herd of waterbuck over there. And there's a small herd of waterbuck there. And some topi to the right of them. And a zebra. And then to the right of that is a huge herd of buffalo out in the open plains. Really nice to see. No doubt there will be some lions interested in their movements. There you can see them. Okay, well, while we get around and maybe get a different angle, we're going to see if we can find some lions ourselves this morning. Might try and find the Owino Pride. Who knows, the Olololos might be hiding in there somewhere as well. But in the meantime, let's go to David, who's got another view of his cats.
Such big prides of lions have been known once in a while to bring down buffaloes. Now, with the migration almost gone back to Tanzania, not because they live there, but that's the cycle they use. Now, these lions that we see here will be going to the grain season where they'll be hunting the big game. I'm talking of buffaloes, giraffes, and elands. And that's what possibly they are looking for this morning. And if you look at them, you can tell all signs and intent of wanting to go for a hunt. That females have all the message on her face. We are looking for food. Those bellies don't look very full, but still got lots of pockets of zebras and wildebeest left behind. We got antelopes like the hartebeest and the topbeest that do not migrate. And I'm guessing whatever prey they first set their eyes on, look at her. No doubt these lions will try and get some food this morning. I've counted 8 in total. 8 with 2 youngsters and 6 adults. And for those who are joining us now, this is the Mara River Pride, and we are always full of joy if you talk to us either via questions or comments using hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. That could be the pathfinder and the females leading the pride in searching for some nice breakfast this morning. strength in numbers for lions. That's the youngster, they're just being playful. But by that look, it tells me definitely they won't get some food for themselves. Early mornings, before it gets very hot, are always best times for lions to hunt. And Lou says, yes, beautiful lions, because we have wonderful light here, Lou, and also the cameraman of the cam up is doing some wonderful job and showing us the Olor escarpment in the background. Just see how they're spread out very well. I'm not sure it was Pat earlier was saying that the second bird we had in the morning looked like a postcard, and I think this one's, we could make some Christmas cards with the lions. What do you think, Manu? Alrighty, Manu says, oh yes. With the background of the trees, Olor escarpment. Sorry, what did she ask? Are lions a threat to rhinos, child of the universe? I would say no. We have found once in a while groups of lions like this trying to attack baby rhinos. That has happened once in a while, but not really. Rhinos are big and very fierce animals and very easily will just, intimidate lions, whatever the number. But once in a while, lions have been known to try to bring down baby rhinos, child of the universe. And also baby elephants too, they have been known to do that. See how majestic they are as they walk. And I'm guessing this one is leading the whole pride in making a decision of where they want to go. And she got a tear, not a tear on top, a cut ear, the left ear on top. You see that? It's not the one like on the right. And definitely, the indication they're looking for some food this morning. A friend of mine was telling me he saw them last night and they tried on 2 attempts to make a kill, and one of that attempt was an eland and they did not succeed. Hopefully today you'll be lucky. That's not uncommon for lions. Not very successful on the hunt. Sometimes you say only about 30-35% of all the attempts that are successful. Pretty good strong of 8. And they have put the youngsters of the cubs right in the middle. Yeah, and you can tell they definitely need to get some food. And they always tend to walk, on the same path, following each other. The largest predators we got in Africa. Out there in the wild, tigers are a little bigger in size than the lions. One of them have a short tail. We're going to be looking at it, and I've just noticed that. I don't know what might have happened to it. What did you see? So they all spread their eyes out, and I'm sure the moment they're going to lay their eyes on a particular prey, they'll agree that's who we're going to hunt. See that youngster there staying at the back and climbing that termite mound? Looks like a boy to me. You can see the short mane on his neck, and also being a little brown than the rest. They are born with dark spots which disappear as they age. What are you seeing there? Do you want to give instructions to the rest of the pride? And I think everybody here is helping to spot game, and definitely going up on a termite mound like that, it gives it a vantage point, or gives an advantage to spot from a distance. Well, good luck to these lions. We are not leaving them as yet, because if they hunt, that could be something exciting for us. Oops, that's even a better vantage point, Manu. Very good for seeing your camera that way. And they'll stay there and scan the whole of the savannah as far as their eyes can see, and maybe see something for themselves. And let's go now to Sydney, who got some big mammals.
I am now approaching a small herd of elephants. They are just here somewhere in front of us. I don't want to talk loud because I can see that they are nice and close. I want us to enjoy this sighting. This is beautiful. So these elephants are so very much relaxed. So I can see that the big ones are busy now trying to dig in order to get hold of the roots. Oh, you can see now that they're trying to investigate about what is happening here. You can see that one now trying to come much more towards that side. So now it means they're going to come together. Let's see what they're thinking. So if you look on that very big elephant here on the side, you will see that that elephant has got some fluid coming down. That is called a temporal gland. The secretion we are seeing there is called a temporin. So temporin is just a sign of stress. It means these elephants, maybe sometime before us, something has been here and they were so worried. But at the moment, I can promise you they are not worried about our presence. It's just that to these animals, it's normal.
Hey!
It's normal. You see there he was coming a little bit and then stopped. So now let's quickly go to pet.
Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Patrick and joining me on camera we have Mr. Hendry. On my right we have the little chief Hosanna. And if you have any questions about this young male leopard or anything else, please do use that hashtag SafariLive or the YouTube comment stream. Now, we have a bit of a scene that we've been used to seeing lately, which is Hosanna laying down here at the pan with impala around. He has caught himself quite a few impala over the last few days, and now we have more that have come down to the dam for a drink, and, well, they don't look like they have noticed him at all, nor him them. He is sound asleep. So it looks like we've got a mixed herd of impala. Is there any lammies in amongst here? Monkey, I think the name was. I'm not sure. Perhaps younger, when he was a playful little leopard, he did. I don't think he would now that he's a bit older. What did I see? I did see one animal chasing their tail the other day. Ah, yeah, last night at the hyena den, I saw a young hyena chasing itself around in circles. But Hosanna, I think, is a bit too old for that now. That tail is getting longer. I think it's probably about 75 centimetres long, and it's got that distinctive white patch on the back of it, which he'll use for signalling other leopards, as well as also signalling alarm calling birds. So the birds will start alarm calling if they see a leopard, but the back thing on the white thing on the back of the tail is kind of like a surrender, a white flag saying, you know, I'm not here to cause any trouble, I'm just passing through, stop making my life and my day hard. It's incredible to see with the impalas over here, just the difference in size in the horns. So if we look at these ones over here, their horns do look impressive, but then when you go over to the Mara in Kenya, their horns are just so much bigger. It puts all of these ones here to shame, actually. Quite a lot bigger. Well, we're going to stay here and see if Hosanna does notice the impalas. But in the meantime, let's head across to Sydney, who's got some big ellies.
So the elephants are still here. You can see the little ones are feeding there, and the big one is also standing, was feeding just now. It was not a dangerous situation. It's normal. These animals, when they pick up our presence, they've got to investigate. What we saw earlier when the elephant was coming to check was due to the wind direction, which changed immediately and went towards their favor. So that is why that elephant was checking. But you can see that these elephants are pretty much relaxed at the moment. The body parts that tells you if it's a male or female, I normally look here on the forehead. The forehead will tell you if it's square, it's a male. If it's round, it will tell you it's a female. And I just want to move much more this side so that we can improve the sighting. As I can see that they are now nicely coming together, and it's much more open from this side. So you can see that these elephants, they are not worried at all about our presence at the moment, because they have discovered that no, it's not a threat, it's us, and they don't consider us their threat at all. So that's why at the moment you can see there that they are not worried. They are now just starting to move much more towards that side. This is an amazing sighting. Look at that big one there in the middle of those two little ones behind. So the elephants can be dangerous when they've got the newborn babies and when they've got injuries and when bull is on mast. But at this stage, I can promise you, they are little ones, they are growing, they are not that very small. So the level of aggression, that's why it's very low. So we have here the other elephant head, not very far away from here, earlier on, which is not part of this group. So we hear them from the northern side. So these ones, we just saw the fresh droppings and tracks and follow them to get them here where they are at the moment. You can see the big one is feeding now. When they're feeding like that, then it's telling you that it's not against us at all. So you can see that is the one who was investigating earlier before you left us this side. So these animals, they can be able to feed for about 18 to 20 hours. Standing, and some of them, they sleep while standing. Some, they can lie down against the termite mounds, and some they can also lie down next to the road during the day when it's too hot. But at night, little ones, sometimes they sleep during the day, and some they go and rest by the water holes. So they don't need much time of sleeping. So, but for now, I think we are going to leave them and carry on looking for something interesting for you, as I can see that they are feeding much more that side, and we don't want to disturb them. So this termite mound was going to be our barrier for in case if they decide to come to us. So now let's go to the Masai Mara, where Steve is having the buffaloes at the moment.
Thanks very much, Sydney. Well, we've managed to find this herd of buffalo, and we've gotten in the middle of it. Well, they're slowly surrounding us as they move. Lots of individuals with youngsters in amongst the herd. Typical buffalo sounds. On our way in, it was landmines of buffalo dung all across the road. They are a moving organic machine, dropping organic material everywhere they go, feeding. And a nice big herd here, numbering, this is probably in the region of about 150 animals in this herd, spread out. And they always do interest me, buffalo, how they move, how they organize themselves, what dangers there might be. It's right here in front. Well, you are back, folks. I'm terribly sorry about any internet issues we might be experiencing. That might be the fact that we are surrounded by the largest bovids on the African continent. The most formidable, that's for sure. I'm not sure where we lost you there, but we had a very beautiful little youngster in amongst the herd now that has just vanished with its mum. And there, that one's been horning the ground. Something you see males doing a lot, but that is a female. On the male on the left, female on the right. A little bit of a social grouping. The mud and the fur, the mud and the grass stuck on the horns there. You showed that ground, didn't you? Yes. So a very characteristic sort of thing when you're looking at antelope or buffalo or any sort of open plains versus bush-like species. And if you can see whether the male and females have got horns, you can kind of understand a little bit about the ecology of the animal. Why do females have horns? If a female's got horns, then most certainly the strategy of defending the youngsters is one of cohesion and one of actually necessarily just for their own defense, but primarily for the defense of their youngsters. So their strategy is to run, and when they can't get away, they will turn and face down the predator to save their youngsters' lives. But when you find animals where the females do not have horns, well, let's list them quickly. Nyalas, kudu, impala, they're invariably regarded as a woodland sort of specialist, whereby the strategy of evading predation is to stand very, very still and freeze in the form of dakas and bushbuck, kudu and nyala. That is the strategy. Freeze, and if they get spotted, they run a short distance and then freeze again. The impala actually being one of those sort of cross the boundary individuals, regarded as a fringe or edge specialist, and they do run very, very fast. They don't really have too much in the way of freezing tactics. But buffalo in the open plains, eland, topi, wildebeest, the only way to escape a predator out here, you can't stand still and hope it's going to walk past you. That just won't work. So invariably, you will turn on the predator with your horns, and, well, no predator likes to be chased. It's a characteristic trait of most predators. Predators chase those that run, and anything that turns on them, they invariably decide not to go for it. Lauren, you want to know female buffalo spar or fight? Well, that individual was actually having a bit of a spar with that male, so it's not something I've really spent too much time seeing female buffalo sparring, so that's the first time I've seen that happen. But males most certainly spar, especially when they're younger, and as they're getting bigger. And as soon as the estrus is in the herd and the females are all breeding ready, well, it gets very, very pushy and shovey within a herd. And the males are all jostling for each other, jostling for the rights to mate and following every female around in the hopes of mating with her, smelling her urine, doing the typical phlegm and grimace response, and trying to obviously keep hold of those that are breeding. And any young males that are anywhere near the breeding females, well, they get ousted, chased away to spend time in bachelor herds of their own. Well, there are some very cute little buffalo here, and no doubt if the little chief was here, he would definitely be playing some games.
Yes, stalking he would be, and stalking we have just had him. So there is a big, looks to be a bachelor herd of impala that have just moved down past the dam. You can see there's quite a few here, and Ozana definitely did notice him. He got himself into a full crouched, stealthy stalking position. But I think he has kind of given up a little bit. He's not in the best spot right now to be hunting. He's out in the open here. We can see the distance between him and the impala is pretty great, considering that he has no cover right now. Leopards do like to hunt. They're in the cover of at least something. They are stalkers and lurkers and creepers, hiding in the shadows. Perhaps if he comes up across the dam, there's some bushes that he might be able to hide, but I suppose we'll see. Yes, Charlotte, it is amazing. It's always a tense scene when you've got an apex predator around some herbivorous grazers and browsers. You never know what's going to happen, especially with the little chief. He has eaten recently, so he will be a bit sluggish, and it is broad daylight, so it's not his most favourite time to be hunting, but we have seen him take impala during the day. Yeah, I agree with you, Double Dash. His tummy is very full. He's been a busy boy these last few days, eating up all of the impala in this area. Not all of them, but he has definitely taken a few. We were with him the other morning when he took that lamb, and he already had an impala hoisted up in a tree, and then that night he made another impala kill. He has been coasting off those for the last few days. And yes, very full, very lethargic. We've had a bit of activity out of the impalas themselves as well. We have had a little bit of fighting going on between males. I wonder if they're going to start again. Oh, we do over to the left here. We have two sparring there using their horns. Oh, very cool, very cool. Isn't this awesome? So they are fighting right now because it's lambing season, so the females are dropping their lambs, and although they're not on estrus, their hormones are starting to change a lot, or giving off the vibe that they are in estrus even though they're not, and so that gets the males a little bit worked up as well. Not heaps, not a lot, but enough to make them get a little bit irritated with one another and spar it out like we're seeing these two doing right now. This is great. Jolly good parry, sir. No response from Hosanna though. He does seem to be watching the herd, but even though they're being a bit rowdy, it doesn't seem to faze him. And again, I think it's because of that big old tum. Tala, not really, no. So they will they will fight, sorry. They will generally only fight for reasons of mating and having control over the females to mate with. So apart from that, they won't really fight at all. They're pretty placid most of the time, really. It's only around estrus and lambing times that you will see them really stirred up and get a little bit bothered by one another. Otherwise, they're pretty calm and pretty placid, coexisting beautifully. Now I can almost guarantee that if I move away from Hosanna or if I change presenters, then he will do something. That's just the way it seems to go. Well, we will stay here with the little chief for a little while longer, but let's go across to the Mara to my good friend David Akatu.
Hosanna is becoming a very good hunter of late, but we got the pride of lions we've been following here that we call the Mara River Pride. And we've been thinking they'll go for a hunt. We've been very patient with them, following them very carefully. But for the last 10 minutes, they just stayed under a tree. But now you're seeing a bit of intent in two of the females in this spread of 8. And not sure what they have seen in that direction the camera is going. And two females are focused in that particular area. Initially we saw an impala there, then there was a topi and some zebras. There's a huge herd of zebras, though it's in a different direction from where they are. But these lions need to hunt for themselves. They don't look in very good shape. And those are the zebras I'm talking about. They are going right straight towards the lions. And the lions, we all know, blend in very well. And there's a herd of elephants in the background there. And it could be very interesting if this zebra is just going the wrong way. Instead of the lions stalking and coming towards them, the zebras will take themselves to the predator. Well, it has happened many times. Because again, as I said, most cats and more so lions tend to blend in very well. You see the color of the grass there. And female lionesses here in this pride. The zebras keep going, and hopefully they don't put themselves in trouble as much as someone have to eat for someone else to leave. Well, we'll see how things will unfold here. Well, keep running, be careful. The migration has wildebeest and zebras. Mark, I would say the leaders of the pride, we usually talk of a pride of lions and a coalition of lions. And if you see a coalition of lions, which will be males, there'll always be a dominant one. When you talk of a pride of lions, which will be more of lionesses and some adults and sometimes some cubs, there'll be a female leader in every pride. So even here, where we are with the Mara River Pride, there'll be a female leader. But when they come together, then the dynamics will always change. And especially when they are eating together, you see males tending to eat fast than the females, and then in that case we'll say they are the leaders. Keep running, and just to let you know, you're going the wrong direction, zebras. So every group mark will have its own different leaders. Female together will have what we call a pathfinder, like the Sausage Tree Pride that I've followed for quite some time. There's one female there that we call a kinktail. She got a knot on her tail. She's the oldest female and most likely the most experienced. She's the leader of that pride. Same case would happen to the Mara River Pride here. And these zebras are going right to the direction where they are. My guess is the lions or the lionesses have seen them, but not these zebras. Still quite a distance between them. I'm just talking of some zebras that have not gone back to Tanzania. See something interesting there, Manu? Oops, look at that now. You can see the lions in the background, and look at the zebras. Let's see, they're all up and looking at the zebras. Now, the zebras haven't seen them, but I can tell for a fact the lionesses can see them. And still a wide gap. Now, look at that. Let's go in the wrong direction. If this is for the Sausage Tree Pride, I would imagine the ball game would be very different. They don't look very interested. Yes, and Lou, I agree with you. In the final control, this is a wonderful shot. Zebras in the back, in the foreground, lions in the background, and a tree. That big forest there. Come on, lions, you need to feed yourselves. You need to go get those zebras. Francesca, you'd like to know if the lions or leopards are faster. Depends on the situation and sometimes the age. More or less the same speed, but I'd say lions are a little faster, maybe about 60 kilometers an hour. I would say lions are a lot faster because lions, once they stalk, they'll sprint and chase their prey. Leopards tend to pounce more, they tend to latch on their prey, and they don't run. Should they run, it's maybe 15-20 meters, and that's it. But lionesses will tend to run, and I would say, Francesca, lionesses are much faster than leopards. We'll want to move back, to position ourselves, and get close to these lions and zebras and find out what could be happening. There's still quite a distance from where we are. Only that Manu has a wonderful camera and he does a very good job. We can see them clearly and they look very close to us as much as they're far. But slowly go back to where we started with them and see whether anything might unfold. I'm still very convinced. I'm still very convinced these zebras have not seen the lions, and every other minute they're getting closer and closer. Steve, what are your plans now?
Thanks, Gigi. Well, where we were sitting with our buffalo, we've been sitting for a little while longer, seeing if we can spot anything, and in the distance we could see David's vehicle. We were trying to see exactly what trajectory those lions were going, because, well, if they decided to come for these buffalo, there are so many, it would have been really awesome if both vehicles were in the area. But if they got their eyes set on zebra, still on the other side of the road, well, there's still a little while until they get to these buffalo, so we're going to move off. But if they do decide to start hunting buffalo, well, we'll probably come back, because that could be a really awesome sort of thing, to be on either side of a herd while the lions are chasing them, because there are so many youngsters, and the scent of buffalo in the air is almost unavoidable, or what's the word? Lions absolutely love the smell of buffalo. They do. They do. All the lions we spend time with got a nice taste for buffalo meat. They can smell them a very long way away, and also the noises that they make. The easiest animal in the wilderness to track, in fact, because of the smell and the dung and the tracks. Really not hard. But last night we were with the River Pride and we followed them for a little while after the show, and well, they started stalking up on what we thought was some topi. So we switched off everything and we sat there and waited with the IR lights spread as far as it can go. And next thing, they started moving in, and an eland bull came charging past the car, and the lions were after it, but they didn't have a chance. You could just see how easily the lioness was dwarfed by that big eland, and that big male, who I think was Fang, was following them, but was far behind. He was just, okay, I'll wait for the ladies to catch the food for me, but to take down an eland, well, he would have needed to be involved. There are too many youngsters in the pride to assist with the big eland, that's for sure. But it ran, and they chased it, a bit half-heartedly, to be honest. But anyway, we're on the other side. David's that side of the marsh. We're heading through this way. This is the road where I spotted that serval and kittens not so long ago. Tyler, what other smells lions like? Well, they pick up the scent of all the animals, the impala and the zebra, topi. All these animals have got a very particular smell, as do you and I. We've got particular smells. If you've ever smelled your dog, you'll know your dog's got a very particular odor to him. Cats generally, well, domestic cats to us don't have an incredible smell, but out here lions have got very, very strong pungent smell. But anything that is on the herbivore variety, when it comes to can I eat it, has got some form of smell that the lions are interested in. And those smells no doubt trigger certain things in the lion's brain. I'm sure that they're able to tell the difference between each individual smell as it comes around. And so no doubt eland and topi, all of these animals will have a smell that the lions will be like, ooh, I quite like topi. And it'll trigger something inside of them to go, let's hunt that animal. But obviously their sense of smell is very acute. They scent mark. They do urine testing, so they'll come up to somewhere where one individual has sprayed, and they'll do the phlegm response. So that's all very pheromonal, goes into the Jacobson organ, which is in the roof of the mouth, and indicates all sorts of things that we can only really guess at, but a lot to do with reproduction and status and things like that. But in the wind, I mean, I can smell a herd of buffalo, so lions, just as the wind picks up, wafts whatever it is towards them, no doubt they get very excited. Very excited. I mean, zebra have got a particular smell. Elephant have got a very sort of musty, sweet smell. And, well, we saw the lions last night. We were following them, and they just avoided a herd of elephants. So either they saw them, or they're like, oh, I know these guys. That smell means I get flattened, or that smell means we get chased around. So they don't want to do that. But then, in saying that, young lions will always be investigative. They'll always go and check out what's going on. I've had young males attempting to track down a rhino before, white rhino. That was a silly mistake. They nearly got impaled. Very, very close. I've got a photograph of the back of the lion's leg and the rhino's face like this. It's practically touching. He nearly got nailed. And last week, I mean, I think it was David had the Olololos trying to track down a hippo. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to think, what they're going to do. Big adult hippo. It's just investigation. It's like, sometimes young lions will come up to the car and will sniff the bonnet or sniff the back. And you've got to try and discourage that. You don't want them to think this is something that they can do. It doesn't happen with adults. It's only something that happens with youngsters, sub-adults that are inquisitive. They might come up to the car and have a bit of a sniff, and you've got to be like, oi, hit the car, start the car, do something that make them realize, okay, that's not on. Oh, very good. Well, David has managed to find a feathered friend. He's keeping the birding going from yesterday.
Well done, Steve. And we just found a flock or group of bee eaters, and they look like to be migrants, or what you call Eurasian bee eaters. Because bee eaters, you'll see them in ones or twos, but when you see them big flocks like this, it will definitely tell they are migrants, or they'll always move from Africa to Europe. I just want to double confirm, but I'm guessing for now it's Eurasian bee eaters. And as the name suggests, they mainly feed on bees, but also as many other insects they'll catch there, butterflies, moths, and any insect out there is what they feed on. Don't remember the last time I saw such a big group of bee eaters together like this. You always see them in ones or twos. Eurasian bee eaters. And definitely they must be around, because this month we're talking about November, December. They're always here October, November, towards December. We've got other bee eaters here, the little bee eater, the cinnamon-chested bee eater, white-throated bee eater. And I'm going to be showing you what exactly we have at the moment. And anything 5, 10, 20, they must be the Eurasians. Paula, good question there, and it's true. Anything here in the wilderness, we say safety in numbers, Paula. So that way they're able to spot there would be enemies out there and staying in groups that way, because they may face a bit of predation from the big eagles. So Paula, going 5, 10, 20 is the best thing to do. If you stay alone, definitely you have the disadvantage of just having your own eyes to take care of yourself. But if you're in a group or big flock, Paula, like that, then you tend to see better. So these are Eurasian bee eaters. I'm not sure, there are some small little swallows amongst them. Paleatric, sometimes we call them. And they'll be here, say, from August up to the end of November, and they'll be back to Europe for breeding. It's the largest flock of bee eaters I've seen in a long time. The other bee eater that we also got in Kenya, like the cinnamon-chested, the little bee eater, Somali bee eater, common bee eater. I'll be requesting Manu maybe at one point to come to my book, and you'll have a look at the other birds that we got here. Not sure how the glare of the light is, Manu. Do you want the book there or much down? Anna Marie, thank you very much. If you look, Anna Marie, there, I'll be showing you number 10. That's right, Manu, there. Don't have very good light. What do you suggest, Manu? That's okay? That is what we just saw. Those are the Eurasians. And I want to show you, Anna Marie, the little bee eater, and you see the size of it. And it's right on top there. There. Sorry, man, I'm very much glare. Very good. Anna Marie, I think you can see number 2. I'm trying to remove the shadow from my head. And that's the little bee eater. So the Eurasians are bigger. And of course, I think one of the reasons being big because they move for many kilometers, back to Europe and then here, So that would mean being bigger would be an advantage for them. The little bee eaters are smaller. And you're going to go back to the Eurasians and have a look of them one more time, Manu, and see the big flock. And the little bee eaters, you'll see 1 or 2 and not in big flocks. There they are. And you can see them. I think they're just warming up before they start their day, and they move kilometers and kilometers all over the world, but more so back to Europe. Well, we'll be moving on, and I think our lions disappointed us. They didn't do what we wanted them to do. We thought they'd go for a hunt, and they just looked, and those zebras just passed by. And we're discussing with Manu the Mara River Pride. In general, they are not very successful. I do not know why. Maybe not very good planning, or they're just unlucky. But they have survived. They are there. So a number of 8 is not bad. And he made a joke. If this was Sausage Tree Pride, they would have brought down a zebra. All right. telling these lions a very good day, and hopefully they'll be lucky as I say goodbye to my Eurasian bee eaters, and we'll go back to Stivovo.
Yes, thanks, Gigi. Oh, I can't help myself when it comes to feathered friends. We found a small little covey of Coqui franklins, the smallest of the franklin species on the African savannas. Very nice. We do see them in Juma, but not as regularly as we see them up here. Busy moving around, just like all franklins, really enjoying seeds. Small shoots off of the grasses that will obviously come after the rain. Small little fruits, as well as being able to dig up corms. As with all the franklin and spurfowl, they'll have a seasonal diet between the vegetation and insects. And right now it's probably a mixture between shoots and some insects as well on the ground. Corms and seeds being more of a later time sort of food, but not migrating like the bee eaters you saw there. Coqui franklin spending most of their time on the ground, although they will roost in small trees and small little shrubs to avoid predation, and in an area like this they are prime candidates for animals such as the serval that we'd be searching for. The serval with its long legs and big ears would definitely ferret out one of these birds if it was hiding in the long grass. And they disappear very, very well if they just sit down on the ground. It's incredible how they disappear. Bob, yeah, they do look like quails. I'm not sure where you're coming from, what continent you're in or what country, but they do look like quails. I mean, quails generally have a much sort of thinner or shorter neck, sort of like an ox in a way. Their body just joins their head. There seems to be no neck separation there. Feeding much close to the ground, being just the next sort of variation below the franklins would be quails, and then below the quails would be button quails. So different species filling different sort of niches in their habitat, but very similar sort of behavior, moving around on the ground in small groups. Quails being very camouflaged, you almost never see them, you just hear them in the long grass. There's these little coquis move around, very nice to see. Preference of tall grassland, as you can see through here, and the buffalo have a very similar preference. Tall grassland, being able to sort of eat the grass that's sort of much tougher and taller than most other animals are able to do, opening up a sort of successional sort of stage for other animals to move in. And the franklins, all franklins and spurfowls, being quite important in the environment, with distribution of seeds first of all, the eradication of certain insect pests on the ground, and also the scratching and disturbance that they create. Obviously a very nice food source for many of our small raptor species. Well, there we go, there's another nice bird species for the list. And well, before Sydney gets too far away, let's go and see how he's getting on his bushwalk.
So we are right here by this very big opening, and not too much grasses here and not too much trees, but I can see the grasses are starting to recover. This kind of environment do contribute a lot when it comes to the other animals that are occurring very high up. You see, from the ground here, this can incite the animals that are flying high up. The thermal that we always associate with the big birds such as the vultures. This is where they start. So the vultures are being assisted by the bare patches on the ground. So when the sun hits the ground, the thermal then builds up and goes high. And when it's going high, these vultures join the thermal, and this is what carries the vultures high up. So you can see that if this bush, if everywhere is covered, some of the species will get negatively affected. So we must have some of the areas like this in order to benefit some of the bird species such as the vultures. This does not only help with the vultures, but some of the animals as well who prefers the big openings. Animals with poor eyesight such as the rhinos, white rhinos, they prefer to feed by the big open spaces like this because their eyesight is not that good. Sally, that is quite a very interesting question, and I've got to answer it broadly. So the control ban, mostly we are doing it just after the winter season, before the spring. You must check, you don't have to just ban the vegetation at any time. You have to ban the vegetation after the winter season, just before the spring. If you ban before, you're going to have a problem because that ban is going to affect the grasses. They won't be able to react because they will be suppressed. They've got nutrients hiding under the ground. And if there's too much pressure, they run out of nutrients. The chances of grasses to die completely, they are very much high. Chances of the trees to die completely, they are also very much high. But when you ban before spring, you ban just before the first rains comes. And that rain is what's going to give vegetation confidence so that they don't use everything which has been stored before in order to recover from those kind of fires. You must also have to check the environmental factors. You must check wind. You must check the temperatures. You must have to check the humidity. You must have to check the weather, if it will be hot. You know, when you are doing control ban, there's quite a lot of things you have got to consider. So now let's go back to Pat, who is going back to Osana.
Yes, welcome back. We have a very tense situation on our hands. We have a small herd of impala that have just come up to have a drink. Hosanna has moved up. He was resting in the shade of the bushes, and these impala have moved in unknowingly that there is a death machine hiding in the bushes. Now he's definitely in stealth mode and he's definitely noticed them. Let's see if he's going to make a move. Jeez, it is tense. I think they may have... Oh no, they haven't noticed him yet. What are you gonna do, boy? So he has rested back down. Is he going to make a move? Or he's looking more and more relaxed. Now for anyone just joining us.
Push the button on this camera. That's okay.
Anyone just joining us? Hosanna is not as likely to hunt right now as he is pretty full. He has had a lot of impala to eat lately. But you just never know. Opportunities don't always show up out here in the bush, so when they do, they've got to be taken. He has got himself a pretty nice little point here. He's very well camouflaged in those bushes, as we can see, or as we can't see. Yeah, Gizmo, his camouflage is crazy. It's almost, oh, here we go. It's
Apologies for the loss of the signals from the other side. And here, I've just noticed something while I was passing by. And this has been done by maybe an animal. But this is something that we normally see in the areas where I come from. Quite a lot of the trees of this species. This is called a sickle bush. The sickle bushes, a lot of them where I come from, you will see them open like this. And when you see them open like this, you must know that there has been a traditional practice. Someone has been there. And what someone was doing is the following. So they come here and we open. And then we talk to the tree. if let's say Sydney has done something wrong at home, and now Sydney can see that, hey, it's about the sunset. When going home, I'm going to have problems tonight. So this is what Sydney must do. Sydney must come here and crack the plant and pour the saliva like this and talk to the tree and say, please, I want my parents to forget about what I have done this morning. When I get home, they mustn't think about it. Nobody must have to ask me. They must just forget about it. And then you close it. And then you close it for a while, you hold it. After that, you leave it like that, closed. It must have to be closed. So when it's closed like that, and then when I get home, nobody's going to ask me about what I did in the morning. Everyone is just going to forget about it. And Sydney will be the one they will be talking to a lot to say, Sydney, bring this, bring that. And I will start to build confidence that they have forgotten. They will forget this. So now let's quickly go back to Hosanna.
Welcome back, everybody. We do apologise for those technical errors. Mr. Hendry is still wrapping his head around this cameraman business. But thankfully, you haven't missed any action since we were last with you. Hosanna is still lurking in the bushes here, and the impala is still at the waterhole drinking, although it does look like they're starting to move off now. They are on high alert. I think they may know that something is around. I'm not sure whether they know exactly what. But we do have, if any of them are going to be taken, it's going to be this one closest to us here that we can see. It's probably the only one that would not be able to get away now, seeing as the other ones have the advantage of being on the other side of the waterhole to Hosanna. He's kind of, it's like he can't make up his mind. Do I want to go? Do I not want to go? Am I too full? Am I in the right spot? There's a lot to really weigh up for a young leopard in a situation like this. And then there's also always the risk of injury as well. That's something that every carnivore has to face when they're in a hunt. There's always the risk of the animal injuring them, because obviously animals need to have some sort of defense mechanism, some way to avoid predators. And an injury out here to a carnivore can easily be the difference between life and death, especially when you are a solitary animal like a leopard. Oh, and it looks like the impala are just starting to run off. Something startled them. So, looks like a mischance here. I highly doubt that he'll go now. Yeah, I think the chance has faded. So, let's leave this ground hunt and go over to the Murra, where David has something in the air.
Well, keep moving, and once the prey moves away, sometimes the predators will be like, next time. Now we have another bird of prey here. We have a raptor, who we think also might be wanting to hunt like Hosanna. We do not know what she might be hunting or what she's looking at. And this is a long-crested eagle. And as the name suggests, you can see the crest on her head. That's very well being blown by the wind. I love that crest. Or do I call it a mohawk, Manu? You can see the amount of wind blowing the grass there, and that crest. I would wonder what advantages I would have on that crest, or what help the crest gives to that eagle there, the long-crested eagle. And her eyes are opened, and I think focusing or looking on the ground for would-be prey, talking of rats or mice or reptiles, skinks, lizards, small snakes they'll feed on, and also insects. I mean, raptors will always eat any meat they can get, and sometimes they go for smaller birds. See, from the vantage point she can look very well on the ground. I'm wondering why she's there, because it's not much. The visibility to me is pretty poor unless she is focusing on something in particular. This is one of the lowest, I would say, height I've seen a crested eagle being on. They always perched more up on big trees and then looking under, in the grass to look for anything moving. But there's a lot of bush cover where she is, and wondering what she could be looking, unless she knows there's something there. Well, they've been known to prey on smaller birds, so could have seen some either cheeks of sticolars or larks somewhere there. See the hooked beak, which is very characteristic of many eagles, hooked and sharp. That helps them to rip any flesh they get, or once they kill, if it's a rat, they are able to open the skin very quickly, or a mouse, and start feeding on the internal organs. So an eagle with a blunt beak would be a big worry. Very much times you see them solitary. Julian, that's a great comment. It's such a striking bird, and above all, Julian, is the location she is at, where she is perched up, and the kind of weather we got now of the wind just blowing her crest, Julian, and of course her body feathers. It's pretty cool, eh? So once in a while she look on the ground and maybe to see if there's any movement. Mr. Public, as the eagle flies away, you wonder whether it's a young eagle or a fully grown eagle. I would say that's an adult. That's the average size of, of an eagle. And Mr. Public, that's a fully grown eagle. As we move on, very good size for a long-crested eagle there, Mr. Public. I'm trying to think what other eagles or birds will prey on them. Joshua, those birds will be feeding on rats, because let me just have one more quick look at it, Manu. It could be a distance. They have changed their position. Sorry, what's the question from Joshua again? Joshua, you are asking why these birds are called raptors, and they're called raptors because they tend to hunt and they tend to eat other birds. And raptors would mean something like a carnivore, so we call them raptors because they tend to feed on flesh, for example, be it other birds, be it lizards, be it frogs, be it any other living thing. So we call them raptors, which would translate to carnivores, but now for the birds, we would call them raptors. She changed position. That's the normal height or places that they would perch for the long-crested eagle, and not where she was initially, which was very low. Okay, gotta move forward a bit, but just let me know. Move forward, keep going. That's good. Manu likes it there. Hold it there. In the background we can hear some lapwings. Paula, you're asking whether all birds have hollow bones. I do not know for a fact, Paula. I do not know for a fact. Some do have and some do not. For example, ostriches have solid bones. And I'll be finding out for you, Paula, because Paula, I know you're always watching. I'll be finding out for you later in the day. And no, but I would highly doubt. Some have and some do not. That's maybe the answer, Paula, I would give you now. But I'll be finding out for you later in the day, maybe on the PM drive. And please join me and I'll give you the answer. She's just preening herself there, maybe to prepare for the start of the day. And that's the normal height for the long-crested eagles, because from there she can see all around what she'd want to. Very good vision they got. So there's a car there just passing around, or some exotic tourists maybe coming to join us to watch this eagle. And from this raptor of the long-crested eagle, we'll take you to another raptor with Steve.
Well, thanks, David. Not as beautiful as the long-crested eagle, that is for sure. The lappet-faced vulture. And there's a pair of them here with their very powerful beak. Look at that beak. It is a tremendous object, isn't it? And so instrumental out here, where a number of the animals that do perish die of natural causes. Fatigue, stress, all sorts of other things not to do with predators. And, well, that beak is designed to assist in breaking open the very heavy and strong hides of these animals, and thus facilitate other vultures moving in. So every animal has their place. Buffalo chopping grass down shorter or opening up for other animals to feed on, and vultures opening a carcass deeper for smaller, weaker vultures to be able to get inside. And I've seen one of these guys land at a site with about 50 to 60 or odd whiteback vultures. And there's some more in the back of the tree there. And the whitebacks all gave way to the lappet-faced. They're much bigger, much stronger. There we've got a couple of species. Definitely the Rupel's vultures, sort of towards the right. Sort of the more silvery coloured. And the one on the top there seems to be a Rupel as well. And then the one at the back there on the left seems to be a white-backed vulture. They're much smaller in size than the Rupels, but all serving different purposes. Of course, the Rupels being a very rare sighting down in South Africa. White-backed vultures proliferating enormously, and these guys are actually on the endangered list, the lappet-faced vultures, nesting high up on the cliffs and of mountains. Unfortunately, the vultures are being lost at an alarming rate across Africa due to agriculture, due to the mindset from certain farmers that vultures come down and catch their lambs, when in fact probably what has happened, the lamb has died or it's been stillborn, and yes, they found vultures on it. So invariably they'll poison them, which is a tragedy indeed. And that combined with the need for vulture, what we call muti. So in the medicinal trade in Africa, people believe that a vulture's foot is very, very lucky and allows people to be able to see the future, because vultures have got such good eyesight. Some would say vultures could read a newspaper from a kilometre in the air. Now, I don't know if vultures can read, but how they work that out is quite interesting. Hello, Dash Dash. Well, the reason why birds that stick their heads inside of carcasses and feed on carrion don't have feathers on their head, to keep them clean, it would be a tremendous effort. So invariably, the animals that are able to stick their heads right inside, they don't have the same sort of facility that lions do to clean themselves, to mutually groom each other, to get the blood and all the mess off of their face. Vultures have just got the skin, so that it's easy to clean. If they do bathe, it washes it off slightly, and well, the feathers would just get matted and thick and dense and dirty. Invariably, vultures are regarded as actually very clean species. Some people wouldn't think so, but vultures regularly bathe, bathing themselves in water and then sitting out in the sun, drying their feathers. and the sun has the added benefit of killing any bacteria that might be proliferating in the feathers. But being featherless on the head enables them to be a little bit more agile inside the carcass and not as messy and matty. I mean, if you took your head as you stand today, folks, with all of the hair you have on your head, and went and stuck that into a dead zebra, well, what a mess. What a mess. Can you imagine? What have you got there, James? James has spotted something on the ground. There we go. Is this one of the North Clan members? We are in the vicinity of the North Clan den, and the vultures attracted our attention, and well, we're seeing if we could spot anything on the ground, and it's possible the vultures have attracted the attention of the hyena as well. Well, anyway, we quickly go down to South Africa, where the little chief seems like he's finally developed an appetite.
Well, we're not sure whether that appetite is coming through. We have another tense situation on our hands. This time we've not only have an impala herd, but a warthog has also walked onto the scene, which is coming up to the dam now, just to our left here. Oh no, and it's run away. But we have Hosanna, who has noticed the herd, definitely. He did turn around and face them and crouch down, but again, just seems to be going back to that kind of relaxed laying position. I think he's just simply had too much food. And the warthog is coming in front of him now. I still think he would prefer to go for an impala over a warthog, just because of those sharp tusks that the warthog have. It's a real low to the ground, tough as nails, stocky little animal. I know if I was Hosanna, I'd definitely be going for an impala over a warthog. I've heard of warthogs severing tendons and doing all sorts of nasty stuff. So what are you looking at now, boy? He's just towing that line of kind of interested and not interested. Yeah, Tim, I definitely agree with you on that one, that Hosanna won't leave this pan. We can pretty much guarantee that if we come here, we're going to see him over the last few days. Been making plenty of kills, and obviously, as we've seen just in the time, in the last hour, we've had about four herds of impala move through here. So, being one of the last water sources left in the dry season at the moment, it's obviously attracting a lot of animals and a lot of food for the little chief. Now he's not even looking at the impalas. He has... oh no, maybe he is. Yeah, for sure, everyone. Hosanna is a bit too full and a little too fat. So even if he does hunt, it might be in peril. But he's got one last chance here. They're making a move. I think one may have noticed him. There is an impala staring him down. And then we have the warthog trailing at the back. But I just don't think he's interested this morning. There's not much left of his kill left that was hoisted up in that jackalberry tree, for anyone that has tuned in over the last couple of days. There's just a tiny little piece of it left. So he will be looking to get more food somewhat soon. But as for this morning, I think he's just gorged too much as the last of the herd clears out here. As the sun starts to poke through, we can see he's panting pretty heavy. Well, another missed opportunity for the little chief. I think he's just being too fat right now. So let's go from this fat cat to a lot more muscly cats in the Mara with David.
This is what flat means. And we are around the marsh area, and this is one of the Triangle Boys. Triangle Boys is the coalition of the males around this area, and Triangle Boys are always three. There is Fang, there is one that we call Half-Tail. We just want to see if this one is going to bring his tail up, and you'll be able to know who he is. But we are guessing at the moment, man, this could be Fang. If he opens his mouth, we know for a fact he is missing a tooth, and that's how he ended up getting the name Fang. And Half-Tail got a half-tail. I'm trying to imagine the other two brothers are not very far from here, or the other two members of this coalition are not very far from here. And from the pride we saw earlier, the Mara River Pride, these are the males that will mate with them. And when it comes to protecting the calves, those females, you know, they have good defenders in the Triangle Boys. Very sleepy, very flat. Remember, keep talking to us. Hashtag SafariLive. Questions or any comments? Not very far from here we saw the Scarface brothers the other day, but we are at the very boundary, I would say, between these two coalitions. And lions will want always possibly to protect the boundaries and not to overlap or crisscross into others' territories, because if that happens, they'll always have a fight. Proud Cat Mama, thank you for your comment. And yes, he is magnificent. That's a very good word to use. I got a friend of mine in South Africa, a come-up called Sebastian, and instead of magnificent, I'm sure he would want to say magnifique. Magnifique, eh? And then he would finish saying that by saying, hoo la la. Well, I just want to relocate, move forward a little bit and see if we could see the other member of the Triangle Boys. As I said earlier, they go in threes: Fang, Half-Tail, and one more. And we have not been able to identify the other one. And chances are they should be together within the same radius from here. Let's keep searching the grass here. They'll always be together and could be lying under the bushes. The croton sees something there, Manu. You think that's a lion there? Let's see, I've seen the hindquarters of what I think could be maybe the other member, or maybe a female. Jonathan, very good question, and you want to know how old are the lions here in this coalition. Jonathan, I'll tell you for a fact, I'm sorry, I do not have the answer for that, but as soon as I find out from the guys who have been following it, I'll be able to tell you how old the coalitions of these boys are. So Jonathan, be on standby. Once I establish how old they are, I'll let you know, as that female is fading away there in the bushes. Not sure how close she was to that male lion we just saw. But as it's warming up, she might be looking for some shade in the midst of the grass there. Not looking for something for herself to eat for the morning. Maybe she got a wound there on the belly, towards the back quarters, or just a patch of mud. Dishma, a fully grown lioness like the one you just got there, could be about anything 200 kilograms, 400 plus pound. And a big male like we saw earlier could be 500 pounds, 250 kilos. That's the average weight. The males weighing a little bit more than the females. So 400 plus pounds for the females, and males should be up to 500 pounds in weight. Heavy, heavy. So she's still walking, and let's find out whether she's going to join other females or there's a particular destination she is heading to. Maybe there could be more around here. Oh, there are more. Yes, I think I was right. So we're going to move forward. And the other ones that I'm seeing, they look like little youngsters, a little young. So Manu, tell me when and where to stop. Keep going, Manu. Keep going. Try to stop there. Oops, there's like two there and two there. So on that tree, there's those two there, which I think these ones are youngsters. And my guess is now, this is the Marsh Pride. The first pride we saw was the Mara River Pride, and this is the Marsh Pride. And we think these two prides were once one, and they break away. So the other one has a different territory, but they used to be together. Just like the Sausage Tree Pride and the Owinos, there should be one pride, and then they break away and form two separate prides. That will happen when the pride grows very big, and sometimes there are issues with availability or resources. They tend to split. So this is the Marsh Pride. Time for play, social bonding, and they'll be staying under those orange leaf croton maybe for the rest of the day to keep or to shelter themselves from the sun. So those two have gone in there. They must have now disappeared in that bush. Not sure whether I want to relocate and see if I can see more of them. Just hold on. Anybody at the back, Manu? Can I come back? Okay, let me just back up a little bit and see what I see. Keep coming. They must have disappeared in that bush there. All right, I think we're going to be turning around to that sleepy male and see if he has decided to wake up or not. As it warms up, so lions and most of the cats will just look for shades now and stay under them for the rest of the day. As we go back to see whether our male has woken up, we'll go back to the trucking gentleman, Sydney in South Africa.
I have got one of the very famous tree here. This is the weeping wattle. It is one of those trees that are famous when it comes to the use of the leaves as a toilet paper. So apart from that, today I'm going to introduce you another plant. This plant, this is called a flannelweed, but where I come from, we have got the different type, which is much more broader, and the leaves are very much smooth. And that tree is called in Venda Mufurtabana. A direct translation to English, it means like an infant wiper. So these are the trees that we use when we are running out of wipers for the infant. We go to the bush and take these leaves. The leaves are so very much smooth. They're even smoother than the tissue and the wipers. And then we use this one in order to wipe the infants. So it has got velvet, and that velvet, it doesn't come off. So it sticks there. So we normally go to the bushes and look for this. If they are running out of wipers and it's late, the shops are closed, they will have to send us to go and fetch these leaves, a lot of them, just to help the infants. So now let's go back to Koli. Koli has got Hosanna.
Hello, welcome back. My name is Oli. I'm looking at Hosanna here, the little chief, trying to get another meal here. He looks so full, but he is determined to get another meal again because the opportunity keeps on availing itself. We have the fourth impala head this morning since Hosanna is here, but no luck yet. Hopefully he will get something to feed this afternoon. As you can see, I hardly see him over there. He's well camouflaged. Look at the belly is full, but because of the impalas are so close to him, he is willing to take one down, and he might. Let's wait and see what's happening. We have the impala there. It's a part of that head that went down. It just moved away from the head, and this is not a wise move to do. He's going down. Hosanna is just a few meters ahead of him, of her. Sorry. Yeah, Hosanna goes. Can you see Hosanna? Hosanna. Let me go forward a little bit. Yes. I'm gonna move forward a little bit. Can you see Hosanna? It's not far from the impala. The impala is panicking because the other groups of the herd are on the other side, and she's between Hosanna and the herd. Sorry about that. And the herd is keeping on moving. Hosanna is around here in this thicket. I can see him, but I'm trying to get my eyes right because he is well camouflaged. And let's see what's happening now. The impala is still Hosanna. He looks chilled now. Oh, here the impala goes. I think Hosanna gave up because he's been spotted by the impala. He's chilled now. He's not in a hunting mode anymore, and he's breathing heavily. This means that he's full, and he was trying his luck to get another meal. He's well camouflaged there, and that's why he's taking chances to get another meal and hunt again, because the impalas, they are not aware that Hosanna was around the corner. The impalas are gone now, more relaxed. He'll move, or he will be staying the whole day here because it's getting hot now. Probably the impalas are coming back because they will need to drink water, as they are dependent. They're dependent in water. So hopefully we're gonna see some action. He's breathing heavily there. And the interesting thing is that the wind is always on his side, because the impalas, they come on the other side of him. So luckily we're gonna see some action, because Hosanna just sitting there, and the impala is still on the other side, and the head is on the other side. Hopefully the impala will come back to join the head. But I don't think so, because I think he's been spotted Oh dear. You've missed your 4th chance now. Oh, David, thank you for your question. I didn't get it right, but I think you need to know that Hosanna will either hunt a female impala than a male impala because of the horns.
Yes.
The leopards, they hunt any gender. It doesn't matter whether you are a male or a female. If the opportunity avails itself, it will bring you down. The leopard will bring you down, whether you have big horns or straight horns or sharp horns. If you're in a perfect position for him to ambush, then obviously Hosanna will take you down. But now he's not in a hunting mode. That's how he is right now. That's why he won't. He's not. He won't leave the place and go hunt. That's why he's here chilling, trying to digest the food he's been eating from 3 days ago until early this morning. So he will only hunt when the opportunity is here. That's why we still gonna have him. Oh, we are not alone here to watch the action of Hosanna and the impalas. We are joined by a Birchhold starling. You can see he's wearing his shorts there with long legs and long tail. We have quite a few number of starlings around Juma. We have the Birchholds. Yes, indeed, he looks very good, and he's ready for summer. As we can see, he's wearing his shorts there. We have the Birchhold starling, the one we're watching right now. We have the Cape Glossy starling. Yesterday we saw 2 beautiful starlings, which are the wattle starlings and the violet-backed starling. Very beautiful birds indeed. They are migrants. I believe they're here to breed, because one between the two is a summer visitor and one is a summer resident. Oh, he's foraging around. Hosanna doesn't care whether you are here. He needs a bigger meal than you, buddy. And at least you are far away from him. While I'm watching Hosanna trying to make a kill here, let's go to Steve in the Mara.
Thanks, Ollie. Well, we have been still moving around, seeing if we can find the Awino Pride. We've come back up on towards the escarpment road. There's loads of buffalo still, loads of zebra, no sign yet of the lions. But the only thing that amazes me more than the appetite of Hosanna is the pride territory dynamics in this area. I mean, where David is with the river pride, then he finds the marsh pride, and in the same area 3 days ago we had the Olololo pride, and well, we're now where we find the Awino pride, and they also cross the road there, and it's just absolutely bizarre how many prides sort of frequent the same areas. There seems to be, I mean, we all talk about lion territory size and boundaries, but there seems to be complete disregard for the movement of these animals into each other's territories without seemingly any repercussions. All we see from time to time is a few injuries on some of the lioness, a few cuts and scratches, but bizarre. Everywhere you're seeing there is pretty much the same area. We've been seeing the marsh, the paradise, the Olololo, the river now as well, and well, the Awino. So really, really interesting as we watch the nice 2-shot of the buffalo feeding with the elephants in the background. Such marvelous vistas we have out here, and always a good place to stop, pull out your binoculars and scan to see if you can see any form of cat lying under a tree or moving through the long grass. That is the best way to find them out here. But still, abundance of prey on the landscape, probably the reason why the lions aren't being too sort of aggressive towards each other. But no doubt as the prey starts to dry up, those boundaries will become a little bit more firm and steady. But anyway, an animal that you can't see in our picture, David has found a beautiful little warthog.
Well, it could be anything, and if Steve is lucky today, he might spot the Owinos and Owino pride. Once in a while, I've seen them getting down pigs, like this one. The lions you saw earlier, the Mara River pride, from a distance, man who saw them trying to bring down a warthog. I didn't see that myself, but we are guessing this could be the two warthogs they wanted to bring down. They survived. Going to tell a story, but that's why they're here, just munching the grass away. See that green grass because of the rains that have been going on the last few days. It's just easy for them just to keep cutting it and eating it away. But when the grass will not be there, we have seen warthogs like that male going down on their knees. Very good, Manu. You think you had me? Goes down on their knees so that they can have some good leverage to dig out tubers or to get more food in that particular angle once they go down like that. These two look like two boys, and it's very funny how they kneel down and you'll see they get permanent marks on their knees. Here you say, wow, they got such long hair, and it's true. If you look on the back of their necks, that's a very long hair. Then way back in the village I come from, people used to make fly whisk from the warthog hair, the ones on the back there, and you'd go cut a small little plank of wood when you could get them dead out. Not anymore today. We are educating all the villagers that this wildlife is important, and when you find one dead, we'll always leave it. We always try and encourage them, leave it where you found it, because everything just goes back to the soil and the cycle goes round. Comes manure, and we'll have that grass to be fresh once the rains come. They look like to me like two boys, and must have been weaned by their mother because they are on their own. Maybe not long ago. Again, safety numbers staying together as much as you could see one. Each eating facing either side. Should you eat, they will always put their head up and have a quick look, quick scan to make sure they're safe. Hello there. WM, good question. Is it true the migration follows the cycle of the rain? I would say a big yes, because the migration only moves for one reason: food. If they deplete all the food they have in Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, they'll always start their journey north, coming to the Masai Mara, and by the time they get here around June, July, we'll be coming to the end of the long rains, and you can see that beautiful savanna there Manu is showing you. And if you're coming to the end of the rains, it means everything is lush and green and lots of food. When they come here, almost all of them, they're all pregnant, and it's time to come and get better, and they feed themselves, especially the females, and come around September, end of September, or I would say, what do I mean, maybe, excuse me, early October, they start heading down south. In the month of January, all of them are always very close to Serengeti, the eastern side of Serengeti and the western side of the Ngorongoro Conservation Area. And come February, the first week or the second week is when they drop down their young ones. And in a span of about 2 weeks, they drop about 500,000 babies. I'm talking about 500,000 babies, or up to 600,000 calves in a span of 2 weeks. And normally it's around Valentine times, and we'll always name some of the babies Valentine. And as soon as those calves are strong, they are able to stand, they start the journey again due north. So basically, just to answer your WM, they'll always move because of food. The only one moment they stop WM is that month, they said February, when they're bringing down their calves. But once that's done, they're out again on the move. Kalina, give me 2 seconds to confirm that. How long the piglets will stay with their mothers? They should be weaned after about 6 months, but Kalina, don't go away. I'll let you know in a few seconds what's the period. And I'll let you know in a few seconds how long the piglets will stay. The other day we saw some piglets that were almost brought down by a cheetah, but they survived and should be about, just hold on for 1 second, Kalina, I'll let you know how long they take to stay with their mothers before they are weaned. Alrighty, should have guessed 6 months, but I want to be sure. I want to give you a good and correct answer. I was talking about 6 months. I could be wrong there. 3 months. Yeah, that was like a long time. But it takes about 3 months before they're weaned. So I would say these guys are definitely over 3 months old because they are on their own and they look like two brothers. But the age that they take before they're weaned by their parents is a period of about 3 months. Zebras in the background there. I wish the Mara River Pride could be here. They could be having some good choice of prey. These pigs must be very hungry. They have not stopped eating since we got here. Eat, stand, look. In the background we can hear some lapwings. Water lapwings making some alarm call, and I'm sure that's what he looked at. Didn't see anything and didn't get very bothered. A little scratch there. And even warthogs will get ticks and mites like most herbivores. And now let's do a bit of botany with Sydney.
I have got a very small tree sibling here at the moment. I can see that the big one is just not very far away from where I am. So, but now I want to ask you something here. Who can try? What tree is this? Just by looking at this. So you can see that it's a very small plant, and you can see the seeds coming out there. Maybe just to give you a clue, this tree, mostly the seeds passes through a digestive system of some of the animals, including the elephants, which helps the seeds to germinate very quickly. So that is the first clue. And some of the animals, such as the squirrels, they also take the seeds from this tree and bank them under the ground in order to eat during the dry season. Some of the people, they crack the seeds and the seed kernels to get the flesh inside and use that in order to make oil. The leaves are so shining so that they cannot get damages from the sun. And the fruit of these trees makes a very popular beer here in Southern Africa. Joe, this is indeed a marula tree, and I want to show you something interesting here. Me and Hebi, we are going to eat something from this tree. I can see that the tree already is surviving, and what we do normally when it's surviving at this stage, we take these. We take the side covers like this, and this is what we eat. So I'm going to eat this, and Hebi, let's have a starter for the breakfast. It's very nutritious and very nice. So this is what you also eat from the Amarulas. This is very nice. So you can see that the Amarulas, you don't only eat the fruit. You can also eat now the seeds. When the plants are starting to come out, the seeds extend because the tree has already grown. We trim and take off the sides, and that is what we eat as well. It has got, it tastes very nicely. I wish there were more there. It's nutritious and it's juicy. And this juice is very nice. So now let's go to Toli, who's got one of those elephants who are helping when it comes to the germination of the marula trees.
Yes, elephants are all over Kalakopene this morning. I love elephants because they are my cousins. My surname is Klo. It means an elephant in Bedi. Bedi is one of the indigenous language in South Africa from the Sotho tribe. What's interesting here is these young fellas, they are lying flat there on their sides, on the ground. It's my first time seeing elephants doing this, and they are, look how the old ones are protecting those ones who are asleep. This is amazing because it's windy now, and then I think they are blocking the wind so that it won't disturb those little ones. They are gathering on the shade now because it's getting hot. Yes, this is too sweet, and we have the two young chaps sleeping there. I think they are tired because they've been walking vast distances. We know elephants walk a lot and far. That's why I think those little chaps are still young. They need to get some rest. Some are drinking on my right here in the Kalakopene. And some, they don't seem to be drinking but playing with water. It's summertime already. Not only humans are playing with water, even animals, they gather into pans and play with water. It keeps them cool. As you can see, that one is playing with water using its trunk. It looks like these guys, they've been walking for long now, as they are here standing, some sleeping, some feeding. This is a nice spot to rest. Yes, Pluma, elephants are so nice to look at or to observe. A wonderful sighting of the elephants, especially when you are in the wild and see how calm they are. Because these are the big animals, we think that these are very aggressive. They are not aggressive if you give them a comfortable space so that they will breathe and relax and continue with whatever they will be doing. Beautiful tusk indeed, a little bit dirty because they use the tusk for a lot of things. They can take off a bark using these things. They can greet each other using these things. They can defend themselves using tusks. Also, they can loosen up the hard substrate if they need water or if they need to wallow. Beautiful. Look at the skin here, full of wrinkles. This is beautiful. Looking at these elephants and thinking that these huge monsters can be so quiet, it's so amazing because I can't hear any sound coming from them. They are quiet, standing, and some are feeding quietly. So I thought these guys, they are so noisy. This is a big herd indeed. Oh, funny. What African elephant I would be for a day. Not because I'm picky or it's because of my surname. My surname is Hlo. I repeat that. It means an elephant in Pedi. So I would be an elephant for a day because my surname is more related to elephants. So probably I'll choose to be an elephant. Oh, the young one there is trying to drink water. His trunk is not used. He's not used that much good because he's still young to use his trunk perfectly. So he's still learning how to use the trunk. The old ones, they will show that young one how to use the trunk often. But the young chap is trying its level best now to use the trunk and drink water from it. Just imagine these big guys, if they had their mouth part that is similar to humans, it was going to be another story. Just imagine an elephant kneeling down to drink. This is beautiful. I can't even count these elephants. They are a lot. Oh, Lauren, you want to know what's my favorite animal? I don't really have a favorite animal because I love every species, every animal, every bird around here. This place is so amazing and full of life. So I can't choose, I can't pick. It's so difficult to choose. So I love everything in the African wild. Oh, nice one. As you can see now, those ones on the shade, they don't flap their ears often because it's cooler down there. When the sun goes up, you'll start seeing them flapping their ears now and then because they have to keep their body temperature constant. This is wonderful. Oh, and earlier on, these two young chaps who were on the left there, they were trying to mount each other like, yeah, you've already getting naughty in such a young age. Okay, sadly, I'm gonna leave you guys. This is the end of the show. Oh, this is so sad. Thank you for your questions, and thank you for your comments, and thank you most for your time, and thank you for watching the show. Keep on watching the show Safari Live every day, morning and afternoon. We are coming back this afternoon with Sunset Safari, and goodbye.